Getting live. So, hi everybody, how's it going?
We're good.
Hey, how's everybody?
So,
Yeah.
my name is Evan Burton. I'm the creative director of the Anderson Street Project, and we are here to simply say Happy Black Music Month. Black Music Month, as everybody should know, was founded in Philadelphia in the late 70s and
Nice.
by our very own Deanna Williams and Kenny Gamble. And we are proud to kind of uphold that legacy that was started by two of Philadelphia's greatest. And
Yes.
we are here to, we can't go to concerts. Unless virtually, all we got is Verses at the moment, and some virtual festivals that are going around. But we can always have good conversation, and especially now when we're going through so many different things, from COVID to the recent murders that are happening all across the country. And we wanted to talk to, and I want to give a shout out to Toya Haynes, who's on the line. Hey, Toya.
Hey, guys.
Who's the editor of Philly Soul Live, another amazing platform here in Philadelphia, doing the great work of sharing the local music here. And we wanted to have a conversation with some of our friends about what's going on, and how entertainers are being affected during this time, and how they are using their platforms to either make people feel good or to inform of all the craziness that's happening in the world. So I want to introduce. So, Tor, do you want to say anything first?
You know what? I'll wait till you introduce everyone, because I do have a first question, but I'll wait till you introduce everyone.
So I would like to introduce our panelists, Queen Joe, fabulous Philly rapper, also Beano French, who's constantly touring as one of Philly's R&B singers, and Zeek Burse, who honestly does everything from house music to soul music to whatever. So
I don't rap though. I can't rap, so I got to lean at Queen Joe.
That's all right. You said we can figure that out.
There we go.
So we welcome all of you to the chat today, and we can just go right on with the questions, starting off with Toya.
My first question for all of you is, how are you doing? And I know that's a broad question, but how are you doing? I think I mentioned to Evan, I saw John Mayer was talking to someone, and they asked, have you been able to create a lot during this time? Since you used to have so much time, and in the studio, you could be in your own studio. And he said something I thought was really good. He said, what I've noticed during this time is that when I've created songs, it has come from a place of joy. He said, because I've had a hard time finding joy in the midst of everything that's been going on, I haven't created a lot as much as people would think. And so not just COVID, but of course, everything that's going on with racial injustice, and just it's heavy. So I guess I just want to how are y'all doing with all this?
Is there an order?
No, just whoever wants
Ladies
to speak up. What would you like to share? What would you like to share about how you're doing in this present moment?
So it's funny to me that you just said that, because I talk to Evan about this all the time, and it's actually ironic because I feel like I make my best music when I'm angry.
No, just whoever wants what you like to share. What would you like to share?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm like.
Sorry.
But yeah, I usually make my best music when I'm angry or I'm perplexed about something. Music has always been a release for me in that way. But but it's weird, because I feel like you know what? Toni Morrison said something once, and it really, really stuck with me. She says something like, there are two things that a writer or artist should never be arrogant enough to think they would master. And that is to write about love or war. And you can try and try and try, but no matter, and I'm not saying it's pointless. I mean, an artist's job should be to, try to conquer the things that are most on their minds. But for me, I just feel like it's everything is just so heavy to me that I'm not going to say I haven't tried to create things about what I'm thinking right now, but everything is just so heavy that I feel like I'm not only am I not mastering it, but it's so personal that I just can't do it. Like I just can't do it. And I'm trying really hard to do it, but my focus right now has been on my second love. Like I went to school for journalism, and at this point, like that's where my head is. So I'm writing things that have to do with everything going on, but the music part isn't necessarily functioning the way I would like it to. But what I will say is that I've been fortunate enough that a lot of producers have been hitting me up at this time. And they have been honestly carrying the weight for me. Like they've been sending me songs. They've been like, Sierra, I have this idea, blah, blah. And I've been able to expound on the things that they're sending me. And prior to this, I never did that. I was like one of those people who created on my own. And I took pride in that. And now it's like, you really get to see who your team is. You really get to see who's behind you, because there are people who are like, no, Sierra, you can't not, flex that muscle. You have to do it. So I appreciate all of them for doing it. But to be honest, it has been very, very hard for me to create, really.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of like said everything. I'm good though. I just been more so just focusing on getting myself right mentally and physically. I haven't really been even, like she said, worried about creating music or anything. I've been doing a lot more reading and everything, just with the Black plight and how to say things the right way. Because I have noticed lately people are looking for me to say things, and I'm like, that's not what I really do. And I know all of us have social media, and we've been seeing celebrities jump off the deep end and be totally off. So I've just been reading right now. As far as creating, that hasn't really been on like my list. But as far as this week, I've told people like, look, I'm ready to start getting back in the swing of things. But as far as my well-being and everything, I'm good. I battled COVID. I beat COVID.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Let's go, bro. Let's go, bro.
Thank you. I battled COVID. I beat COVID. So yeah, I'm really good. I like the momentum that we've been having as a Black community lately. So that's all I really gotta say. It's just been, I'm good. Like I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah, I totally concur with both what Queen Joe as well as Beano said. It's been pretty interesting. I think for me, slightly different, but a lot of parallels. Initially started out around the whole COVID thing, having a whole bunch of shows and all this other stuff booked. And then you wake up and then there's nothing. And for me, being a full-time artist, it was very, very difficult to kind of go through that. Ironically enough, my brother, we were sharing an apartment, still do at the time, but he was like right on the brink of moving into his own apartment, and something happened or whatever, so it didn't work out. I was so grateful to the universe for him being there, because for a moment I hit like a bump in the road emotionally. It was tough and pretty depressing, to be honest. So working through that, and then trying to find this feeling. I was like at the brink of finishing an album, but it had songs on it like I'm Alive and all these things. It's vibrant, it was jovial, and I didn't feel moved to put it out. I was like, I can't be that detached from what's happening right now. So I felt very disconnected, and even still to this day, I've only heard maybe 2 of the records off that album once or twice, and it's not that I don't feel connected to it per se. I just felt like it would have been out of sync to release, so just being creative, I wrote 1 record and released it last month, and it was called The Room. And I created a word called tie piece. It's TIE hyphen the word piece, PIECE. And it's about any form of art, regardless to if it's music or whatever, that's significantly tied or linked to an era, or an event. So I like to call The Room a tie piece. And it's literally about being in a space during quarantine, or being in the room as in the body during quarantine. And I personally have found what I like to believe the best version of myself during this time. So it's a little bit of a bittersweet. Of course, we lost a lot of people. Some people have lost loved ones. I haven't, but I empathize with them. So there was that, the negative or the bitter part of it. But for me, the sweet part of it was, again, just being able to close out all the influences of Zeek. You should wear this. You should sing this. You should do this show. You should, sound like this. You should, all these different things. And you were able to really sit down, or I was able to really sit down with myself and say, wait, can we curse on here? Because I gotta have to make sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's just like, yo, what the fuck do you really like? Who are you really? And it took me a moment to really dissect it. So I'm grateful for this time because it allowed me to find my truest self, and also embrace the fact that that's going to evolve, that's going to change. And also the people that bang with the newest, truest self, cool. And then those that don't, maybe it's just not for them. So it was a really, really revolutionary and highly evolving moment. Has been, still continues to be. And to the point of, if I could speak to what Queen Joe as well as Beano said, I went through a moment where I was like, I don't even feel like creating, right? I don't want to create. I don't feel moved to sing. I don't feel moved to write. And I got on it was a pretty large Zoom call, and they called it the Brave Space, BRAVE space. And it was put on by Rec Philly. And prior to that time, due to everything that was going on, I wasn't emotional. I didn't feel anything. And then when that moment came, Christina Faith, who's a producer for videos and movies and films and stuff like that, she spoke to the broad audience, but then she spoke directly to me. She was like, Zeke, there's no reason why you shouldn't be using your gift during this time. So, and it was good to hear someone push me. So if I can kind of speak to you all too, and that, like, whatever the message is, regardless if it's something that was released that is poignant for this time, or something new, or just even expressing that you don't have anything to say, it could be something that helps someone else, or even talking about your journey. I found solace, and I found creative mobility, if you will, just hearing those different words from her too. So it's been a spiritual journey for me, but I'm oddly enough grateful for this time. And I say that again respectfully, respecting those that have also lost their lives during this time.
So do you guys feel pressured to speak out or to say something against the movement? And do you think that pressure is fair?
I've, like I just said before, yeah, I feel pressure just because of I guess the platform. And I've always been kind of like vocal about like my feelings on what's right and what's wrong. But is it fair? No, but this is the line of work that we all chose. So it kind of comes with it. And I feel as though you shouldn't be pressured into doing things that you're not comfortable doing, but you should want to do the research to kind of inform your people, because every artist across the world literally monetizes off the Black community. So you should definitely inform yourself with the Black plight, in the least form, at least, just for the sake of, you never know what those words can touch or move the next person. And I don't care if my words move one person. I feel like my job is done. So it's pressure, but it's something, like I said, when you decided to be in entertainment business, that's kind of what you signed up for. Now, I'm not saying you have to be an activist or be the most knowledgeable about everything, but you should know the basis of some subjects and not be afraid to speak on something as simple as right and wrong. So I feel like that's just the pressure of the entertainment business.
Yeah. I wanted to interject because what we talked about with this event stemmed from a quote that Nina Simone had. And I just wanted to read it real quick. Nina Simone said, "An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice, but I choose to reflect the times and situations in which I find myself. That, to me, is my duty." And so that is really where this stemmed from, is what do you feel that your responsibility is? I totally hear what you're saying. I think there may be some artists that we may not want to hear from at this time. with social, you know what I mean? With social media and Twitter, you know, Twitter is like texting the world, really. Yeah. It's like texting the world. And so some people use it well, some people use it in a very cathartic way, like a stream of consciousness, and that might not always be the wisest. So I commend you for being like, what I'm going to do is read during this time before I say anything. And I that's what we wanted to talk to you guys about specifically is, like what Nina Simone said, she chose to, because that's what she felt she should do. So in this moment, what are you feeling like with your art? What is it that you should do?
As far as what I should do, like I said, continue to read and just use the platform and, you know, give knowledge to those who might lack it. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to come across as the I know it all or anything like that to anybody, because we all can be informed more with anything. So with me right now, like I said, with no real motivation to get in the studio and sing, like I don't have I'll be honest, I don't have the joy in my heart to like sing right now, because I was just noticing, I just learned about a new murder. I think his name was Elijah. He was in, I forget where he was, and that happened years ago. Like that was from 2017. And it kind of just hit me again. I'm like, every day it's a new name. And it's crazy that I can't wrap my mind around that Black people are being killed by police. And we're hearing about things from months to years later, and it's no justice. So it's like, I really just don't have the joy to feel like I want to sing a love song or anything like that. I really just want to just try to just spread more knowledge to our people. Anyway, if it's a post, if it's a repost, giving someone more knowledge than I do, then I know. I read everything I post, I went through, I've read, and I'm posting it so you can read the same thing. So I feel like that's my job or my perspective right now, as far as like, I'm going to give the information that I've read, and I feel like I can give it to you. I'm not going to jump out the window and give you something. I'm not going to jump out the window and give you something or read or post something that I haven't read through thoroughly and made sure it's authentic. That's my position right
now. For me personally, I already started my whole career as a feminist. So I started off the bat being that way. So it like, for me to feel pressure is because I feel that pressure on myself. Now, what I will say is that in this time, I actually feel pressure to not speak on the things that I usually speak on. And it's been very hard for me because, you know, this is one of those times when intersectionality gets you every day, because on the one hand, I am Black, but I'm also a woman. So usually my platform is about empowering women. And honestly, I tell people all the time, and I know it's random to say, but I always say that I'm a feminist because I love Black men. And I think Black men, in my personal opinion, are not only capable, but actually thrive by looking at me as their equal or their partners. I think that historically we have done that. And I don't know, there are a bunch of things that have gotten us away from that, but that's what my platform is. So now, as we all gathered around George Floyd, right, we also have other things happening, right? We have the one girl who was hit in the head with the skateboard by the rapper. We have the men who threw that one girl and 30 men threw one girl in the trash. Then we have the 30 men who beat up Ayanna Dior. Like, all these different things that I usually talk about, right? Because I think that that's important. It's kind of hard for me to focus on those things because I know the media will pick it up, or not just the media, also, you know, others will pick it up and use it to be like, look, this is the reason why police attack Black men. And so it's been hard for me because the things that I usually talk about, I have to handle so delicately because the world is looking at us collectively. So I, you know, what I tell my friends is, as an artist, when you have so many people looking at you, you have to know what conversations they have amongst each other and what conversations they have in public. And so that's been my mantra. And I'm not saying that I've always gotten that right. And just like Beano, I don't post things that I don't look up. I don't like, there are people who send me things, same deal. But to speak to what Beano said, as far as the pressure goes, I tried to stay away from stuff like that, but then I'd have people who were my fans who get in my inbox and they send me videos and they're like, Sierra, did you see this? Sierra, are you going to speak on this? Blah, blah. And I'm like, damn it. Like, I really, 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 really want to. I really want to. But in the grand scheme, like, I was like, sis, I'm going to save it. So it's like, I don't know. I feel pressure in other ways. I wouldn't say I feel pressure to speak. I think I ran on that. I promote on that, but what to speak about has been kind of hard for me.
Sure. I concur with that. I think for me personally, I won't say I feel pressure. I've embraced again during this time, like being able to just turn off, right? If I don't have anything to say, I'm okay with just turning off, you know, and not necessarily turning off to the words I become disconnected or I'm not showing support, but I'm not pushing my art form in a way of I don't know how else to explain it. It's like being able to, like, you can't go 100. I found that I can't go 100 the entire time. It's okay to the point of Beano, like, step back, feed your mind, feed your spirit, take care of yourself, which is equally as important, and then come back and give. So I think I found the knowledge to embrace those moments of, like, learning and gleaming new knowledge or things. Or so I'd say, like, creatively, it's intersectionality is a real thing. It's definitely a real thing. For me, when it comes to the Black community, I've also become more comfortable with my personal sexuality. So my second to last post was about Black, gays, trans, binary, non-binary, all those different things. And I posted that also in line with the BLM movement or Black Lives Matter, because even within those sections, for lack of a better term, or those different identifying groups, it's still those people that are also being persecuted. Those people that are also being murdered. And even to the point of Queen Joe, like, the women are still, you know, having to battle the same thing too. So I think for everyone to have a unified voice, pro-Black, and we're speaking on these different things is awesome. But I would encourage myself as well as you all not to forget the purpose that you're called. If you're called to speak on behalf of women, even if it is Black, like, yeah, I think your fans they know you, they know your voice as this beacon of hope for women. And unfortunately, we've seen in the past and throughout history that women always seem to bring up the tail end of every movement, which is not fair, you know? So I think now when we have this light on the Black community and we have this platform as artists and creatives, I think it behooves us to a certain extent. And again, now, I know we're talking about the whole pressure of things too, so I'm not trying to add more pressure to you by any means, but I think it behooves us to, like, if you've been doing this, stay consistent with it, you know, because if any time that they'll see it now, it'll probably definitely be during this time. It's a Black woman speaking out about other women or Black women that are being wrong, and it's still very much so parallel with the movement that's happening now. I think we're going through definitely the racial injustice and everything, like, but it's causing everyone to go home and look at themselves in the mirror. And I've been doing the same thing too. It's just like, all right, cool. I spoke at one point about rioting, and I'm glad I didn't share the post, because my initial statement was saying, you know, I stand here, I stand with the protesters, and I stand with all these different things, all these different people. And at the end of the video, I made a comment saying, I don't stand with rioters and I don't stand with looters and everything. And I stepped back because I even then was coming from an angle of privilege, right? I'm speaking against these different things, but then you have to ask yourself, well, why are they looting, right? Why are they rioting? And it's oftentimes to flip it. But so that the source of that for me, I learned, was lack. And I'm speaking from a privileged perspective, saying, I don't stand with this, and I'm against this thing, and you don't have to do all that. But the reality of it is these people are lacking, you know, and this is the moment that they have to get something. And yeah, I'm not saying go and do this. I'm not encouraging it, but this is just another point of the revolution, of the movement we're facing as a world, as a people, more specifically Black people, that we have to understand. It's just like, all right, cool. As a whole, we're saying, like, our lives matter. But I think a lot of times too, we downgrade each other. Okay, Black Lives Matter, but maybe not trans lives. Black Lives Matter, but maybe not this class of Black people. Black Lives Matter, but maybe not Black women. And I think we have to focus, if we have a more narrow focus on one area, or we're called, for lack of better terms, to be focused on one area, I think it's important that we do that as well. So the initial question was whether or not we have the pressure to do it. I think there is some pressure. And again, I've learned how to kind of turn the pressure off. But I think the pressure comes from an area of necessity. Like that message needs to continuously be promoted and given, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And I have a question about, so we talked about the artist, but I want to talk about music. So I saw a tweet from John Legend last week or a couple weeks ago about how he doesn't believe music can change the world on a personal level. I firmly disagree. That's why I started the blog. But I'm wondering what you guys think. Like, do you think music as a tool can help change people? And then also as a two-part, how has the music helped you during this time? Since a few of you said you're not recording, but how have you leaned on music to heal yourself or to feel that sense of reprieve?
Well, for one, to answer the question directly, I didn't see the tweet, so I should preface it by saying that. But based off of what you said or share with us, Evan, I definitely agree that music has the power to change. I have a song specifically called "One People," and it just says, we are one people, we can change the world. I think any message that's given through specifically the art form of music has multiple layers of subliminal effects, right? Even if you can't hear music, to a certain extent, you can feel it. If the bass is like, or you feel the warmth of it. You can even feel it in your body, or you feel the vibrations. I think it's a powerful art form. And I think it's been proven time and time again throughout politics, throughout any kind of movement that you've seen, there's been music. And it's something that has its own spirit. It's something in the sounds, there's something in the lyrics. It's a combination of different art forms. You got the writing, you have sometimes if there's a video, you have the visual aspect of it, but the melody, how many times do you hear da 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 da? And I don't eat it, but if you ate it, you immediately start thinking, maybe I should go to McDonald's, right? Or maybe these jingles, there's a purpose and there's a power through music, through song, through melody. So I definitely think it'll change. And has the power to change people, for sure. Every movement has a song or a bunch of songs.
Well, to that, I actually have a question because, in thinking about what John Legend said, recently, Anderson .Paak came out with a song. J. Cole came out with a song. There's a new group, well, not a new-ish group, Salt just came out with what I think is a really good record for this time. But during this time in our generation, there's not a lot of, I don't feel like there's a lot of music for the movement, is what I'm trying to say. Meaning, if you, and this is what I would like to ask you is, why do you think that is? Because when things like this happen, we're still going back to Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. Like, that's what you hear. We're still going back to Wake Up Everybody. We're still going back to, that is a span of at least 30 years. Yeah. So what do you, okay. Hold on. So what do you think?
I think it's timeless music. And I think wait, what you got, Queen?
I was going to say, I beg to differ. I think there are a lot of artists talking about what's going on the time. And specifically, if we go here in Philly, there's Chemist who just came out with Chemtrails, and that is fire. I know Sean Smith put out Childish Ills, fire. I think, and even if we look at the little boy who just got that record deal off of I'm a Young Black Man, I can't sing, but you know what I'm saying. I think that there is music coming out, but I think that what happens is, or put it this way, right? And then there's also things to go back to. People, there are people who say To Pimp a Butterfly said it all, and they're going back to go listen to that right now as well. But I think that a lot of times when people make that kind of music sits there during these moments, right? But then it gets to be hard because it's not like and this is how I personally feel. When you have labels and people trying to make hit songs, they're trying to make the music that's going to make people spend money. So they want you to make a club banger. They want you to make music that people are going to make babies to. You know what I mean? That's what makes money. That's what builds capitalism. If you have a real song talking about what's going on right now, you're actually telling people to move away from those things, move away from capitalism. So people do put them out. I just feel like they're just not as heavily supported as what we usually see. And I guess that goes back into your question, because you were like, why, you know what I mean? Why do I think less artists do it? Also, I think to add to what Beano said a little bit earlier, I think a lot of artists, because you deal with the creative, a lot of times you're so in your head, right, that a lot of art, and I know some artists going to be mad that I say this, but a lot of artists don't focus on worldly things. They don't, every day they're trying to pull from their imagination, you know what I mean, and feeling, right? So they're not necessarily, they don't have their head in the headlines. So a lot of times they just don't feel confident enough that they're knowledgeable enough to say something. And there are so many artists who text me all the time, like, Sierra, I want to say this. Sierra, I want to say that, but people aren't going to listen to me. People aren't going to respect me, because people look at, they'll look at me and be like, oh, she's a rapper, right? At the same time, I'm like, hello, I'm a rapper, but at the same, I read newspaper, like I have a journalism background, I have a political science background, like I care about, like I'm in it. And also what people don't realize is that artists are very empathetic. So because they are really, really, really empathetic, whenever they want to digest something happening in the world, they really digest it, right? They really, really digest it, and they digest it from so many different angles. And as a world, especially in a capitalist type world, they want to focus on facts, right? Facts and numbers, and facts are not truth. You can use facts to manipulate something any way you want to go. You know what I mean? I could say a fact that there's a higher percentage of Black men in prison, or a higher percentage of Black women on welfare, but there's more white women on welfare total. You know what I mean? You can use a fact to back up anything you want. And as an artist, you can feel strongly about something, right? You can have researched it in the way that you are used to digesting information. But if the world, or your quote unquote opponent, the person that's trying to bring you down, doesn't respect the way that you communicate how you feel about something, and they don't give you the floor, it makes a lot of artists, I personally feel insecure about speaking on subjects that I feel should speak about, because ultimately it's affecting them. That's how I feel. So I think it's a lack of confidence. I think it's a lack of support. And I think that support on all angles. And I think that the community, the longevity of it just isn't there until something else messed up happens, and then they go back to what it is.
I think she nailed it. I mean, she hit that shit on the head. Look, and
I agree too.
It's like I
agree. I think we still can't.
Oh, where you at, Zeek?
It's cutting out, but you got it. You got it.
Bro, you good.
No. I didn't know it cut out, and I didn't know you were still going. You got it.
See, I think Queen Joe hit it on the head. It's just not giving the support that I guess the records were back in the day. Like you said, it was cool to support those records. Now, the record labels only want to turn up. They want that quick return. It's not about, because like she said, the music is there. And my dog decides to go crazy. I'll be
I do have, Evan, is that okay if I have a follow-up?
disagrees.
I actually have a follow-up though with what I said. Queen Joe, I love everything that you said. And I want to make sure that y'all know I'm not blaming artists at all. Because if you notice the records that I mentioned, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, Wake Up Everybody, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, we're talking about Motown, Black-owned record label. We're talking about Philly International Records, Black-owned record label. And so if we're talking about what artists are allowed to do, and you're all indie artists, correct? All indie? I know Beano is. Correct. So, okay. So we're talking about what the industry has perpetuated. I don't know if you guys have noticed or have found out, but there have been a bunch of managers and A&R people that have started the Black Music Coalition. Have you heard about this? Where they sent out something. There was this is excellent. I'm going to send out this article to all of you. There was a guy that wrote, he's VP of A&R at Warner. And at first it was anonymous, but turns out it's Ray Daniels at Warner. And he wrote saying, during this time where everybody is Black Lives Matter and all these types of things, we need to talk about racism within the music industry. We need to talk about the fact that Nashville, you can't come to country music and come to a country music division at a label from the outside and not respect country. You can't go to Latin music and not know Latin music and be part of that culture. Why is it when it comes to Black music that most of the decisions are being made by white music executives that are telling artists what they feel Black people want to hear? So now there's a Black Music Coalition that's fighting racism within that. I think part of the reason why, going to what Queen Joe said, that we might not have had as many songs as we did back in the day is because of systemic racism within that part of the industry. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's true. I totally agree. And I also think that it goes back to what y'all said before with the John Legend tweet. Do they have the power? Do we have the power to change things through music? I think they know we have the power to change things through music. So what they do instead is put the money behind things that is going to continue to suppress, oppress, all these different things. Yes, our music is powerful. Not just our music as a race, but music in general is very, very powerful. But we see again throughout history that the music and the message behind the music is oftentimes used to suppress and to oppress and to encourage murder and interracial crimes against one another. You know, we're not. So I don't even think that we have. It's kind of like trying to give a baby steak. Right. I don't think as a people overall, we even have the knowledge to really dissect To Pimp a Butterfly. The average person is not really listening to that. Right. The average street person. They meant like Kendrick. They might, and things like that. So I think it's witty that they're doing these things and they're using their platforms like Kendrick and other artists, even if it's not necessarily talking about it could be just talking about how, like to make your money work for you, like 444, Jay-Z, all these different things. And now Beyonce is becoming more and more of a icon that has probably the biggest platform in our time to use it and speaking out different things. But she's doing it, I think, in a witty way. And it's not because I like Beyonce, but I think it's also because she's saying things that when you listen to, like, or you just read it, like the Black Parade thing, you hear the different things. She'll put some stuff about the club in there and stuff like that too. But then there's other things towards, but it's like, all right, cool. Let me just spoon feed knowledge to them or kind of lace it in between. But these are also people that have a lot of creative control over what is released, So to the indie artists, again, I feel like we just got to keep spreading our message and keep being intentional on what we're saying, even if it's just our personal story. If we don't really know the true story of Beano, or we don't really know the true story of George, what is our story? Right now, I'm looking at all melanated, beautiful individuals. So we can tell our story very easily and be like, yo, this is, I don't know, Beano 2020. And 2020 has been a hell of a year, right? So like, talk about, different things that you have faced as a person. And again, still because and I'm not saying use the times, it's still because you're a melanated individual, you're a Black person, someone's going to listen. It's going to help someone, even if it's and I know we all have faced different kind of things, one thing to another, as far as the racial things are concerned. But yeah, I think the industry is not, it's good to talk about it. I think it's good to address the racial divide and the racial issues within the industry and any other platform where there's people that aren't being treated fairly based off the color of their skin, which I still think is the most ridiculous thing. I think it needs to be said. I think it needs to be spoken up or spoken on. Am I saying that properly? You get it. But yeah, I think they don't want to feed that narrative, or the narrative of things that are blatantly happening in front of them, like a revolution. Because not only I think it would sell, but it also will wake people the fuck up. And I don't think they want that. They want you to stay asleep, continue to dance, continue to go to the club, continue to drink, and be. I'm drinking now, but towards you can't be coherent. You don't know what the fuck. Yes, yes. Towards you can't be coherent and you don't know what's happening going on, right? So I think it's important. They know the power of music, which is why they on the other side for sure.
I think you hit everything on the head. Like, y'all are Queen Joe and Zeek. Y'all smashing today. Like, yeah, all right. Yeah.
You got it, bro.
I just wanna add though, because for me, having these conversations, to me, we walk these fine lines where we start getting into respectability politics, and I think that that's unfair to Black people. I think the issue with the label isn't necessarily everything that everybody's talking about. It's more so the balance. Does it reflect the culture? So for me, it's like, okay, you want to rap about, I don't know, selling drugs, or you want to rap about whatever. If that's your experience, cool. But if we look at a label and you hire, 50 people talking about selling drugs and one person talking about, going to school, that's the problem. The problem is that what they're doing, like percentage wise, doesn't reflect the culture. That is the problem. So I think, but I do agree with what Zeek specifically said, which is like, they want you to believe that there are more of this and less of this, so that you aspire to be that instead of this. And I think that's what makes it so hard. So I'll be interested, and it's so funny too. Hi mom, my mom just sent me the article you were talking about while I was here. So I'll be interested to read that, because whenever I see people have these conversations, I'm always like, okay, well, when is the respectability politics going to kick in? When is this person going to say, oh, you got women talking about sex, you got men talking about sex, you got people talking about drugs, you got people talking about, and it's like rock and roll does it, country does it, everybody else does it, right? But at the same time, it's like we get put in this box. It's like, no, we should be able to tackle every single topic that we want to tackle. We are not some weird monolith either. So we should be able to tackle what we want, but at the same time, the representation needs to match our culture. We need to have less of and more than, not necessarily, getting rid of one thing or the other. I respect art in all its forms.
I agree.
So we've seen, we had, the media blackout where all of the record labels had deep internal conversations with their staff. And it seems like some are making some incremental changes, starting with the removal of the word urban, particularly within the labels, but then also the Grammys themselves. So what do you guys think about these steps? And do you guys think it's authentic? And what else needs to happen so that more Black people are heard and acknowledged? And I know y'all got this.
Who want to go first? Because I'll go last. I want to know what they're changing it to.
Queen Joe has me crying, like literally crying.
Look, because I just, I talked to Evan about this before.
Yeah,
I feel like categories. This is how I personally feel, and I feel this way about a lot of rappers too. Categories. The reason why they make categories the way that they make them is because they feel like if you were to put everybody on the exact playing field, and this is how I personally feel, there would be less white people, winning awards than Black people, which is why they have categories like blue-eyed soul. What the is blue-eyed soul? Yeah. Soul music is soul music. White, whether you white, whether you Black, Puerto Rican, whatever. Put them all on the same platform.
Oh my God.
That means that you know you're trying to carve out a space. The very fact that you have artists, right, like Lil Uzi, who told you, I'm a rock star, I'm a rocker, just because he raps, if he doesn't identify with hip hop, that's fine. You have MIA who sort of raps. Are we saying that she's in the hip hop category? What are we saying? You said, like, you take, and I know everybody don't like Tekashi 6ix9ine, and nor is this one of those things where I'm about to take up for him because I don't like him. But what I will say is that you have somebody who comes from a heavy metal background who also raps. Okay, he'll tell you I came from heavy metal. So when he gets in there like what the like this, that's what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? But as long as they could be like, oh, you're hip hop, right? Oh, you're hip hop. Now you got people like Little Uzi, people like Tekashi 6ix9ine competing with people like Kendrick Lamar, okay, and all these other things. And then you have them win categories. But in my brain, I'm like, the way Lil Uzi is selling out, if you put him in his category, he would trump everybody else in that fucking category. And he told you what he was. He told you what he was. But the reason why they had these little random little bars like, oh, this is urban. This is R&B, soul, blah, blah, blah. This is best contemporary. Like, no, stop with the BS. People told you what they were. You can clearly see their influences, right? But then you have labels who also push people into a genre, okay? Because they don't want you competing with their other artists, okay, that are in a particular genre. They'd rather have it that way. I'm all for the urban thing getting removed, but I feel like the game is the game. If it's not urban right now, it'll be something else. They're always gonna find a different name. I think they should have it where people get to, where the artist selects what category they feel like they want to run in. If you like the music, you like the music. Let the artist say what category they want to run in, and if they feel like they're strong enough to compete in it, let them compete in it. That's how it should go. That's how I personally feel. Sorry, I got real passionate about that. That stuff gets me.
Passed off and Trey.
Queen Joe 2024. That's really all I gotta say. Queen Joe 2024. That's all I gotta say.
Yo, I agree. I agree with everything she said. I thought it was like spot on. I actually would be really, really curious. Evan, you asked the question. You asked two questions, multiple questions, but two that stood out to me was, what do you think about the change? And
do you think it's authentic?
And do you think? Thank you, brother. And do you think it's authentic? I personally would be curious to know what they're changing it to, right? I'd be curious to know what to Queen Joe's comment, what new term or phrase are we moving to? And then furthermore, I don't know how you can really truly gauge authenticity in something like that. I guess time would tell, but if there's going to be a change in name, I would hope that would be changed more so in action. You know, again, to Queen Joe's point, you can change the name of anything. You can, you see the packaging of ketchup or a Hunt's bottle of ketchup, it'll change and it'll say new label or whatever, same great taste. We don't want that shit. We want actual change. Change the recipe, change what's actually inside, and then give us a new label. That's cool. That's cute. We'll take the new label. But what are we going to do outside of the label? What is actually going to change internally? I think I'd be curious to see that. I don't really know how I feel about it, but that's what I'm most curious to see.
I actually just looked it up, and what I'm seeing is, I just wanted to refresh my memory, but they changed best urban contemporary album to best progressive R&B album. I don't know what. Thank you.
No.
And this is what we're doing when it comes to, they'll break it up as far as alternative R&B. Now we have progressive. I don't know what that is. Then you have traditional R&B vocal. What are they saying? Or what is it that they're telling us we are now? What is it that they're telling us that soul music is now?
And why are we allowing them to categorize?
That's the question. That's the question. What? Just let's do our own. I mean, I'm not here for division. I'm not here for divisive. But if you're not gonna truly be included and really, like, I mean, come on, y'all. Like,
I'm with you. Like we are gonna be truly included in the fact that literally all of these artists and different genres steal from what we're doing over here and try to rebrand it and turn it into something of their own. I'm with creating our own. But that is also why if we've been paying attention even since the 90s, the bigger black artists, even from the Oscars to the Grammys, they've continually told us to stop glorifying and stop caring about them. Stop caring about the Oscars, stop caring about the Grammys, care about the work that we're doing, because that's them. And they're never really going to give us our just due. Like, what the hell is progressive R&B? R&B is R&B. Like, I've never even heard, like, what is progressive? Like, what are we doing?
It's an insurance company. That's what it is. Progressive is an insurance company.
R&B? Like, I don't, like, progressive, like, that means we're going somewhere. Like,
black music is always progressive, though. Like, it's never not been progressive.
It's always evolving.
Exactly. So, like, what do you mean progressive? Like, I don't get it. Like,
I have this thing, right? And I have a few things I always say, but one of them is one of them is that the moment the minority, or I should air quote on that, the moment the minority realizes that it's actually the majority, that's when things will change. And that goes across the board. You can be like, oh, you know, and we keep digesting this minority mindset, then you will continuously live a minority life or a minute life. But if you can change and you understand, like, the reality of it is we're actually the majority. And again, I don't say this in a divisive way. I say this to wake us the fuck up and understand that we have power. We give, and this is, if you want to go race, if you want to go beyond race, you want to talk about class and all these different things, we validate all of these systems that are in place because, to your point, Beano, we show up, right? We show the fuck up. How many times have Beyonce and Jay-Z just like, I ain't doing that shit? Especially, right. And some people are like, well, they're Beyonce or they're Jay-Z. They have the platform. Yeah, but they also have the influence to make change. And the thing is, if they can attack the top and we can attack the bottom and we can meet in the fucking middle, come on. The moment the minority realizes that it's actually the majority, I think that's when things will change.
That's good, y'all. That's good.
Y'all have nailed it. Like, I'm so happy that Queen Joe and Zeek are in here because just the perspectives and the knowledge they dropping. Like, I love it. I'm be honest. Next question, please.
So we have about 8 minutes left, and we have to talk about home. Philadelphia is our arts community is in a state of crisis. We've seen Mayor Kenny slash the budget. Shout outs to the Philly Culture United group for pulling us together.
Yes.
Because that was honestly, in my opinion, the first time we got it together as a creative community to advocate for funding, and we need to keep it going. So what do you guys think needs to be done, and I guess I kind of want to give a call to action to you guys. What are you guys willing to do to help move this thing forward so that we get the respect that we deserve?
You got it, Queen.
So I don't know, for people who've been following me, I've been on city council's ass like no other. Like, I mean, like watching all the meetings, just trying to figure out who's responsible for what. Like being a big bad wolf in my own little way. What I noticed is that at first, when everything first started happening in the very first budget came out and it said it was $0. I'm gonna say I got on the phone with Chill Moody, I got on the phone with Steph, I got on the phone with Dilemma, I got on the phone with every artist I know, Jeanette, Deb, like legit every artist I know, and was like, yo, what the you realize how much you don't know in a time of crisis. So I'm sitting there like, okay, who am I, like, who's responsible for this? Like, who is responsible for this? And it took me a very, very, very long time, and I'm still learning. What I realized is everybody in politics points the finger. That's really what it is. And it's not one thing. It's not you sign one petition and you've done your work. it is a series of things that you have to continuously do over and over and over and over and over again. And part of that means learning the system yourself. So for me, what I've been trying to do is just learn. And I post everything that I learn on my page so that people can learn with me. Because at the end of the day, if you're telling people, I think the way to make people change or become more politically active is to describe to them on a day-to-day basis in their language how certain things affect them specifically directly. You know what I'm saying? If I say something like, oh yeah, so police brutality is messed up, fix police brutality, sign this, right? That's one thing. It's another thing if I'm like, oh yeah, 85% of police officers who create racial misconduct in Philadelphia get their jobs back, and the other 15% of them leave with a big severance pay. You know what I mean? Now you're like, okay, 80% of them get their jobs back, which means that you can't get rid of a racist person on the Philadelphia police force. Okay, so now I feel like I got to do more. But see, they don't say things to you like that. They just say, oh, this is for misconduct. We've spent this amount of money on misconduct. When you speak like, and that's the reason why I think it's really important to not necessarily separate, but to add truth to facts. Because I can have facts and numbers don't mean anything without context. So for me, I'm really trying to learn everything so that I can put truth to the context, and I post it on my page, and I encourage everybody to learn along with me so that my audience is equally as informed as I am, so that collectively we continue to show up for each other because we know how it affects us directly. That's the only thing I'm doing.
Oh shit, that's a whole damn lot.
I just followed you on Instagram, by the way. I'm here for it. I literally just did it. I agree, man. I feel like, can you repeat your question? What were the question? You said what?
What are we willing to do to help move the arts,
locally,
the art advocacy forward, and to stay on top of civic issues in the city?
Right. So, and thank you for that again. To shout out again, yeah, definitely to Philly Culture United. I actually reached out to them when I saw everyone else posting the videos. I was like, yo, what can I do? What do I need to do? And they actually did reply, and I have not posted in full disclosure. I have not posted the video just yet, but I am going to. And at the time when they did reply, it was like the night before. So originally the budget was $0. And then the following day, it ended up increasing, I think, to like 1.3 something million, which is still fragments of what it was in the past. So it's not enough. So now they're encouraging people to donate. So please, if you're watching, definitely go follow every artist that you see on here as well, because we're definitely going to be talking about it from now on. But definitely check out Philly Culture United. It sounds just like I said it. Philly Culture United. They have a donate page as well where you can donate and support the arts. So that's what I'm committing to do, is actually following through with that video, for one, but secondly, continuing the conversation and continuing to encourage people. So like, yo, this is what we need, man. There's so many students, there's so many non-students, people out of school, that I was one of them where, my parents encouraged me to go to get this education, and also supported me in my vocation, which is like, the arts and stuff like that. But I went to college, and I honestly think I wasted money, because I was there for like 2 years and then I went on tour. But I knew what I was called to do. I knew what my purpose was. And I think, again, the power of music and the power of the arts, as well as the cultural aspect of what Philly Culture United is doing as well, is important. It moves the world. It moves the city. So I think it's extremely important, and I'm here. If anybody from Philly Culture United is watching, I'm here to do my part and do what I can. So if y'all have ideas too, I'm down to even collab with everybody that's on this call to keep pushing, because we definitely need the support for sure.
I'll be honest, I didn't really know about too much of that, just because, one, I'm kind of unplugged because I still am going to work and everything, but it's dope to hear about it. But I'm all for it. I started seeing the videos, the telling in the videos, probably like the end of last week. But I definitely wanted to know what everybody was talking about as far as like the funding. We have no funding as far as the arts and cultures in the city. But like, I'm all for learning up on it, reading up on it, and getting behind it, because that's a big part of like all of that's a part of us in this chat right now. And
first of all, thank you, Beano, first of all, for working through the COVID. I talked to you
out,
at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Cause I'm like, oh my God, Beano, how are you even doing this? How can you even communicate with everybody else getting up at like 3 o'clock in the morning just so you can continue to do, deliver everything and mom for us through the COVID. So I wasn't surprised that you got it. So thank you very much, Beano. I'm sorry. I know that's not what we were here to talk about.
I appreciate it.
I want you to know that.
But
that's real. That's right. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Right.
I appreciate that. But I think we about to end soon. But yeah, I just want to say I'm for whatever is going to bring more support and more funds to the arts and cultures of the city, because we need it. It's a big part of the makeup of the city. Like, people forget, like, we kind of created, like, that we kind of created a genre here. So, I don't want to talk heavy, but I feel like I can talk heavy. You know what I'm talking about? So
you can.
Genres. We got to give credit to a few genres, as disco was low-key created here too.
Yes,
so
yes, it was.
Yes.
So I moved here for it. I'm a Philly transfer 9 years, and I moved here because of the sound of Philadelphia. So it's real,
man. So but yeah, I'm all for it. I wanted to know more knowledge about it and how I can help. Any way I can use my platform to bring the awareness to it, I'm all for it. Like I said, I didn't really know much about it. I just saw a couple of videos, but even when I would click on it, it still didn't really tell me what was happening or what it was. So I'm all for learning about it and getting behind it.
So I think, it's been an hour, and we are very appreciative of your time. So if all of you guys want to, and time flies when we're having fun, right? So
it definitely hasn't felt like an hour.
Right. But if you guys no, go ahead, honey.
I do want to add something. Everyone here, well, actually, Philly Soul Live put out something called Quarantunes. It's a Spotify playlist that I put together over 5 hours of music from current top Philly soul artists. It is amazing. I learned so much about the wonderful, incredible musicians in this community. I mean, I cape for y'all anyway, but when I was putting this together, I was like, dang, we have so much here.
Yeah.
We're actually coming out with a Quarantunes too, because there's so much music. It's a really long playlist. So we're going to be dividing them up. Queen Joe, you'll be on it. Beano's already on the last one. Zeek Burse is on the last one. So one of the ways that you guys can support artists during this time that aren't out live, please check out Quarantunes playlist on Spotify. Philly Soul Live put it together. Stream their music. Buy their music. I'm all for streaming.
Let's go.
For a cup of coffee. Listen. Come on, we can buy this music. We can buy this music, y'all. So buy this music, stream this music. Even Spotify has something now where if you click on an artist, you can support them, and it goes like to their Cash App. Did y'all see this?
Yeah, you got to set it up, but it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Beano, you better set that Cash App.
Come on, bro.
So
I'm just going to say, also I use Bandcamp because we get most of our money from Bandcamp.
Bandcamp as well. So these are ways, please continue to let us know how we can support you guys during this time. And then as y'all are listening to this music, once outside is open again, we can all go and see these artists live, because everyone here is incredible. I've seen you all. Queen Joe, I actually saw you at Rent's Due.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Shout out to Beano.
Shout out, Beano.
At Beano's Rent's Due. And
that was fun. Yeah, so awkward. Lex was in the joint, but
I remember that.
You gotta get Zeek on that joint.
Yo, I did. I didn't do a whole set. I did one song though. I remember.
I know.
It was dope, man. I got you on the set. I'm down.
We can vouch. Evan and I, we can vouch for everybody on here. Incredible artists that y'all need to hear and you need to support. So please do.
Yeah, and I wanted to everybody, thank you guys for coming, and of course I want to give like our panelists, just if you guys want to give like a 30-second promotion of yourself, or to give some final thoughts of our conversation today. I would love to open the table for you guys to do so.
I just want to say support, love, and protect Black women. And yeah, just get behind and support the culture right now. We need all hands on deck. Everybody.
Hands on deck. Love that. That's definitely true.
The shirt says pro woman.
Yes, sir.
So that's all I gotta say.
I love it. I love it.
Love it.
I'm Queen Joe. You can follow me everywhere at Queen Joe Music. Clearly, if you haven't seen by today, I love to talk. So if you have something you want to talk about, please reach out to me. I think that I'm pretty accessible. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Chill Booty because of him, I'm going to be featured on Wow Wow Welcome to America on June 30th. So please check me out. Thanks, guys. So please check me out. And just to reiterate what Beano said, and not just reiterate what Beano said, what I just want to say thank you to the whole Philadelphia music artists community, because we really, really, really are a community. We really do support each other. Even if we don't collab with each other on a song, we're in each other's DMs. We're texting each other all the time. So we, even if the rest of the world hasn't supported us, we have supported us and we're going to continue to support us. So that's the reason why I also agree with Zeek. I appreciate Philly United. And I hope that we continue to do this. If the COVID and the protests haven't taught us what our collective strength is, I don't know what will. So I appreciate y'all. Let's continue the conversations. Let's continue to connect because we are going to change our city. That's it.
That's right. I agree with everything Beano and Queen Joe and Toya and Evan has said tonight. Again, my name is Zeek Burse. I don't know if you can see my tag on here, but that's how you can follow me. It's spelled Zeekburse. Rock, soul, and R&B with a little bit of electronic is the new addition to the evolution. But I'm an artist, man. I love humanity overall. I love, of course, Black people. And I'm just here to push the message of unity and love and compassion and freedom to be yourself. It's a beautiful thing. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. I see y'all. And I'm grateful to have this moment to, share with some amazing, amazing people.
And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining our first collab with Philly Soul Live, and it damn sure won't be the last. So stay tuned. We're working on some stuff. So thank you all for coming. Stay healthy, guys. Keep your asses in the house, even though they're trying to open up because we're not ready yet. So and always
keep your ass in the house. Everybody stay in the house, please. We're not ready.
Until 2021.
I don't know about that. Depends on the check, y'all. Depends on when this live stage opens. I'm trying to set it on fire. So I don't know.
Shout out to Evan and Toya for bringing us together for this conversation. Y'all been doing the work in Philly for a long time. I just want to let y'all know that it does not go unnoticed, and we appreciate y'all as artists because even the smallest artists, y'all give them love and treat them just as much as y'all give the biggest artists in the city. So I'm gonna let y'all know that y'all work does not go unnoticed. Thank y'all, and that's also where I met Teller Kelly. She's fire. I met her at Toya's event.
First of all, Taylor been going hard. I ain't even gonna lie. Taylor been on IG, letting City Council have it too. I've been following my baby girl. She been going in.
We see you, Taylor. We see you.
I gotta get on Taylor. I don't know who that is. I gotta get on it.
DJ Dom, we see you. We see y'all. We see y'all.
Yeah.
And also shout out to Limo. Limo was in the mix too.
Hey,
I love her.
Limo, so with that, I will let everybody go. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks
See you
for having me.
next time.
Love y'all. Be safe. Peace.
Bye, guys.